if you always bet your 9-8 or 10-7 on ace 4-5, then yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to make a lot of profit from the blinds. I had a very sick deep run in the 25k high roller, and it was a lot of fun sharing that journey with you on stream. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting me. It was not meant to be to take it down. We found our end boss in Michael Adamo, and in this video I want to go over some blind versus blind spots. It's also something that you guys requested over and over again in the YouTube comments, and I decided, well, that's actually a good fit, the deep run and having those blind versus blind spots against probably the toughest opponent in the world. And we're going to be looking into the 3 biggest pots I had against Michael Adamo. And yeah, if you guys have any other requests or questions, just let me know in the comments. I try to consider as much as possible. And as you've seen, I'm lately producing more and more content, trying out different formats to see what you guys like, what you like to see, mixing up things. So yeah, just engage with us, drop a comment, what would you like to know, and without further ado, let's jump right into the content. So the very first hand, we have ace-9 off, and you might have seen me also doing lots of limping with my stack size. I think with my 30 to 40 big blinds, you really want to do a lot of limping because it's an awkward stack size where, yeah, especially against Adamo, who has no problem shoving a lot even against your 40 big blind stack, and this really hurts my strategy. So I want to take or make it less attractive for him to shove on me. So I was doing a lot of limping, which I think is a viable strategy. I of course sacrificed a little bit of EV with my stronger hands. I was doing it with jacks and ace jack, but you have also seen he was raising a lot against my limps. And yeah, I very often then have a good hand that I can play limp shove even with 30, 40 big blinds. I had jacks once. From the button, I can raise a little bit more because I'm going to be playing in position. I can still call some 3-bets, but out of position when you have someone that is very aggressive with 3-bets, and I still want to play a decent amount of hands. So we have 2 options. We either play less hands to begin with, we play very tight, or we just play a very wide limping range. Of course, we're still going to be re-pipping less, but yeah, if you have a limping range, then you can also limp hands like King 7 suited from the cutoff or an Ace 6 suited from the hijack, which usually, especially when you have a bunch of shorter stacks, you want to be folding a lot of the times. But that's not part of this video. I want to focus on the blind versus blind spots. So ace-9 off here, also probably want to be limping for the most part here against him. And since we only invest 12,000, I would still limp very wide. We're also going to be looking into some ICM post-flop analysis with PyroSolver later on. But I do believe here I would also limp something like Queen 4 off or 10 deuce suited. So still limping very wide. We can still fold against the race. We only invest 12,500. So the ICM on that limp is not really big. Of course, we're not going to go broke with just a shit hand post-flop. So we're going to proceed with caution. He checks back and the board is alright-ish. Basically, once you limp in these kind of situations and you have an ace high, king high, even if you have something like jack 10 or even a queen, a deuce and a 3 is not good. He's gonna have a 3 deuce, queen 3 quite often. Also, he connects with this board with his 4-5s, like 6-5s, 3-4s that have a lot of equity. He's probably even going to be floating something like 7-6 in spades with backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. So yeah, I wouldn't be stabbing a lot, but definitely also check calling a lot. Also, he has a lot of like floatable hands, right? If he has 10-4 in diamonds, if he has jack 4 in diamonds, it's just basically 2 low cards against the check back range are not ideal. So if let's say jack deuce 4, queen deuce 3, 10 deuce 5, you have to be very careful because 2 very low cards are a big part of his check back range and can at least call against 1 bet. So like queen 10 deuce would be much better, right? Where his 7-4 in hearts just can't do anything. But here 7-4 in hearts against a small bet, definitely wants to float. So yeah, I go ahead and check call. I think with ace high, we're going to be calling all our ace highs. He might even betting something like ace 4 and ace 5 for protection against our king highs and protect against our give ups like jack 9 off. So I think ace 9 very easy call. I definitely see him betting ace deuce, ace 3 here, which I think is a very good bet because we're going to be floating a lot of ace highs, and if he hits an ace, he's going to be coolering our ace. Which would be happening on this turn. So let's say if he has ace deuce, ace 3, now we improve to ace 4, we improve to ace 7, we improve to ace 9. He has a 2 pair. We're never going to be folding our hand unless he puts in some big bets. And it's Michael Adamo, and of course he's doing Michael Adamo things, and he goes for an overbet, which makes our life really hard. If he bets 3/4, we have an easy life, we call, and it's nothing spectacular. And this makes it so difficult to play against him. He chooses from a wide variety of different bet sizings. I wouldn't say this is necessarily something you need to study on lower mid stakes, even high stakes. I think only if you play against that pool, where you play against the best in the world, you want to be looking in these spots and what you're supposed to do. So yeah, as I said, he can have 4-5. He probably is going to be doing it with 6-5. He's probably also stabbing something like 10-5 in diamonds, 10-5 in hearts. So I think he's still going to get to the river with, or to the turn with a relatively wide range. So on the turn, very easy call, and river is where things are getting dicey. The deuce is probably one of the better cards because it makes it less likely that he has ace deuce or queen deuce, reduces his value combos. However, all 4-5 combos are still possible. Queen deuce, ace deuce, and we check, and he jams onto us, almost 2x pot size. And here I would like to do just a quick power equilab analysis with you guys. Before you go into any kind of solvers, I think it's very important, because this is what you need to do in game. You need to be able to put him on a range and calculate the equity. So rule of thumb, if someone bets pot, you need 33% pot size. If someone bets around 2x pot size, you need somewhere between like 37 and 40% equity. I think in this spot here, you need around 38% equity. Let's just keep it simple, and yeah, for simplification, use 40%. So as I said, the range I would give him is gonna be ace deuce, ace 3, queen deuce, 4-5. He doesn't have ace queen, he would raise that pre. Actually, these lower pairs, threes and deuces, also want to check back with a certain frequency. So definitely possible. Main bluffs, the 6-4s, the 6-5s. And I think these are, let's just leave it, what are the most natural and obvious bluffs. And then maybe like 10-4, something like where he blocks some good king high floats, like my king jacks, king 10, so like jack 4 with backdoor flush draw. So something like, jack 4 hearts or jack 4 clubs, these kind of hands. Let's just take here these combos, where he blocks my 4-5s, where he blocks my ace 4s, one of the better calling hands. We have ace and diamonds, 9 and clubs. Board is queen and diamonds, 3 and hearts, deuce and spades, ace and clubs, deuce and hearts. And we see we have 60% equity. So the problem though is that our ICM is huge. I don't know the exact number, but I can imagine that it's probably between us. I'm actually just gonna put it real quick into ICM Explorer. Essentially, in ICM, I'm not gonna dive too deep into ICM. It's also a very complex topic and will exceed the content of this video. But we always have a certain ICM premium, risk premium, ICM tax. There's different terms for that. It's basically, it all just describes the same. So in this table, we can see all different risk premiums against all of the players against each other. So our risk premium for the small blind against the big blind is, you can see, 14.1%. 14.1%, what? Because if we don't have any odds, in order to make a profitable play, we want to have more than 50%, right? If I would bet my $1 against your $1, there is no pot. Let's say we bet on tomorrow it's gonna rain. We have no information about weather predictions. You say, no, it's gonna be sunny. We bet our $1. We would only make the bet if we believe we have more than 50% equity. If there would be a $1 in the middle, so there's a $1 pot, you bet $1, I bet my $1, you wanna have 33%. So if you think you're gonna be right more than 33% of the time, you would have a profitable bet. If there's no dollar in the middle, no pot, we just purely bet our $1 and your dollar against my $1, then we would have a profitable bet if there's no pot in the middle. So we don't have any additional dead money. So only if we have more than 50%, we would make the bet. Of course, otherwise we would make a negative EV or negative expected value bet, and this is of course something we want to avoid unless we do it for fun or we want to gamble. So this is basically how it works. So it assumes, okay, 50% is the threshold. So 64% means that whenever there are odds in play, we need 14.1% and more. So that means for our scenario, if we have an all-in situation, of course, it only includes then when all the money goes into the middle. If we have a situation we want to call an all-in pre-flop, so in that situation, we need to put this on top to our 40%. Remember, given the odds we get for his bet on the river, he bets, essentially 730k into 416k, so we need around 40%. So that means we have, with our ace-9, 60%. So with ICM, we would be around 65. We would need 65% equity. With ace-9, we have 60%. However, now the question is, and this is why, let's say you've encountered the situation in a in a low stakes tournament. Oh, by the way, we also have to give him ace-2 off and ace-3 off. This might change things drastically. Now you see that it gets a break-even call. And this is where I'm pretty sure that Michael Adamo would find these bluffs. Also with some goofy hands like Jack-4 and 10-4. But again, I'm assuming he's bluffing full frequency with his line 6-5, offsuited, 6-4, his Jack-4, his 10-4. Even if we add some more of these kind of stuff, it's still not so sexy to call. We barely make any money. And if you give yourself a little bit of an edge, yes, it was a tough lineup, but I know, and I'm not going to be dropping names, I know that some of these players on this final table have huge ICM leagues. And I want to take advantage of that. I mean, if you watch me on stream, you see that over and over again, that good high stakes regs make ICM punts over and over again. So why would I put myself in that very, very close situation to make that call? And I also think our blockers are not ideal. Again, if I think that if he would be bluffing with a hand, it would be something like the Jack-4, Jack-5, perhaps like, I think any of these hands here, right? Not full frequency, but like the Jack-5, the 9-4, the 10-4. So I don't really want to be calling with an ace-jack, like any of these kickers, an ace-jack or an ace-9, right? He's not bluffing 9-4 suited with full frequency or Jack-4, but he's probably going to be picking some of those. Queen-Deuce-3, if he has 9-4 suited with backdoor flush draw, he might be bluffing it. So this is where I prefer having an ace-4, I prefer having an ace-5, where I block more value and I unblock his bluffs. I don't block a 9, I don't block a jack. If I have ace-9, I don't block any value, apart from ace-3 and ace-deuce. But with ace-4, I also block the 4-5, I also block the ace-deuce, ace-3, and I unblock, let's say, his 9-4. Way more than I would do with ace-9. And I also don't want to block a 6, of course, right? So if I have ace-6, I think it's a very trivial fold. So I feel way better, let's say, if I have, let's say, 3-4 suited. Where we also block ace-3, we block 4-5, we block 3 deuce. Oh, we can actually have 3 deuce as well. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, 3 deuce is also a thing. I mean, then you see that it actually, he really needs to bluff a lot. Actually, then it becomes way more. Okay, let's put in some of these bluffs here. And then we are around break even. So, and also I think that Adamo plays his image very well in these spots, where he goes hard for value. This is what makes him so tough to play. There are a lot of high stakes regs that are easier. They're very aggressive and they're very tough to play in terms of their aggressiveness, but I feel like they are not going thin enough for value, not utilizing their image enough for whatever reason. And this is what Adamo is doing very, very well. Of course, he is sometimes all over his place, and I don't necessarily agree with all of his bluffs. But what makes him so excellent is that he is doing very good when it comes to value betting and playing his image very well. So yeah, I decided to fold my hand here, and it turned out I was right. He had the 4-5 suited. And I think this is a spot we should be folding, especially on low stakes and mid stakes all day long. It's a good bluff with 6-5. I think you apply a lot of pressure, but yeah, I don't think we're gonna gain a lot of money here in the long run. So calling hands, like if I didn't raise I think ace queen, we call. We have ace deuce, ace 3 ourselves. We can also have 4-5. I'm playing a little more passive strategy, so I'm definitely gonna have a lot of snap calls in this spot. Again, ace 4, ace 5 is probably also much better, and I would call this, yeah, sometimes, but I think ace 9, ace 8, ace 7, all these hands are just pure folds. And again, this is what I'm trying to preach over and over again. These marginal spots are not going to make you a lot of money. It's at best break even. So why would I do that? Just to protect my range, to not get exploited? Fuck that shit. I know, okay, I'm going to give up, I'm going to give up a little bit of EV here in this spot, but I will gain it back in the future because some of the other players might make some mistakes ICM wise, or making mistakes post flop. Of course, they're not going to making like huge blunders as on low stakes or mid stakes. That's why they're one of the best in the world. But I still believe that it justifies me giving up some of these marginal spots to you to benefit them doing mistakes. Yeah, then we spinned it up quite nicely, and we had one interesting spot then once again against Michael Adamo. So this is where I also want to look into Pyro Solver. I think 7-2 suited is close, but now we cover him. I expect less aggression from his side. He checks back. We turn a decent hand, or we flop a decent hand. Gut shot, backdoor flush draw. Even on a 3 and a 6, we're drawing to a strong open-ended straight draw. And yeah, let's just look into our preflop strategy here. Yeah, just very wide limping. I think this would be my range here. As it is blind versus blind, mixed strategy, and he's supposed to be raising, limping, checking back. I think ranges are really wide, nothing so spectacular. And then on the flop, we see a high checking frequency, which I think makes a lot of sense. Of course, I consider ICM here. I think just the 5 and 4 is also, again, a little bit better. He has hands like 3-7 off, which we might not be limping, which are pretty strong, or like 4-3. These hands are not insanely strong, but again, like if we bet, you see that how little folding is happening, right? If he has like king 6 off, he's calling. If he has queen 7 here, unless he has a backdoor flush, doesn't have a backdoor flush draw, is calling. Even hands like Jack 10 off are calling with a low frequency. Queen 10 off. He's only folding 23% of the time, and Adamo is definitely not overfolding these spots. So there's no point in me to start doing a lot of betting. You can just see that the 5 and the 4 here just connects so well with the bottom right side of his range. And then, yeah, he's supposed to do a bunch of raising with those hands. If you have 5-3, it's a really sexy raise. You protect against, my 10-9s, 10-8s, Jack-7s, all these hands that I'm betting. Even if against an ace, you have decent equity. And then, of course, yeah, also raising his, like 6 deuce off. 6 deuce off wants to raise. I think makes a lot of sense. And as we have seen, what else could he be bluffing with? Apart from the obvious draws, like 6-7 suited, it would be something like a 3 and like the gut shot hands. 7-8, 7-6 as well. It's going to be important for later on to keep that in mind, what kind of bluffs he can have. So I go ahead and bet, and he raises us. Let's see what we're supposed to do against the raise. Yeah, 7 deuce. It's all right. I think we should be calling this. With a backdoor flush draw, without a backdoor flush draw, I think we should be folding. I call. We bink the turn. And Adamo goes ahead and overbets the turn. We don't expect anything else. And I call. Let's see, the turn 3. So we check and we see that he's actually doing lots of betting. I mean, this is a very good card for his range because he's bluffing all these gut shots. He's bluffing 3x, so he doesn't really have any more bluffs to choose from, right? Like 8-6, 8-6, 7-8, continues bluffing 5x. So essentially anything that has no showdown value keeps bluffing. Because even his semi-bluffs have improved. If he has, even 8-3 keeps betting. Like if he bets here with 8-3, let's say what sizing, let's take 2/3, we start folding ace-x because this is such a good card for his range. So there's nothing we can do. Like if we have ace-8 off here, you have to fold. Our opponent has so many deuce 6s, 3 deuce, 4 deuce, 5 deuce. You're just fucked in that spot. Also, I think a spot where opponents are not aware of and are still not finding all these semi-bluffs here, right? With 7-3, very, very sexy bluff. You start turning your 3x into a bluff because your range is so strong. If we look at the EV or the equity, we see that in position now has actually on an ace-high board, not raising pre-flop, an equity advantage. Plus position advantage. That's why he remains on these boards very aggressive, something you should incorporate in your game as well, blind versus blind. Of course, if you play against someone who can still not fold his ace, then you shouldn't be doing it. But I think against good opponents, against a lot of racks, a must-have strategy. So he slightly overbets the turn. And yeah, as we see, against an overbet, we're even folding any ace. We even fold 5x. We only call if we have a redraw, right? 4x in clubs, ace-x in clubs, ace-6, ace-7, our deuce-x. So we never call an ace without a redraw. So main bluffs again, 7-8, 7-6, 7-8 and 8-6. River is the 5 in hearts, and he bets pot, which I think is good. It's pretty smart not to jam because the board pairs. We have some boats. Check, and we see that 8-7. I think now it's harder to have natural bluffs simply because for the big blind, like all his bluffs got there already on the turn. So he has 8-7s, and I think that Adamo, if he has 8-7 or 8-6, he's just gonna pull the trigger in these spots here. Or his low frequency Jack-7 kind of hands here. So he bets pot, and we see that 7 deuce suited, yeah, is just a very profitable call. there's nothing we can do about it, I think. Not sure why it's showing these weird frequencies, but you can see in terms of DV that we're not folding 7 deuce suited. I think with blocking 7-6, I'm blocking 8-6. So for example, yeah, 8 deuce would be a much worse bluff catcher. Raising is not an option. All right, so I got a more accurate river solution now. So basically, if we get to the river with 7 deuce suited, you see against the pot size bet here, it's very marginal actually. I think if we see that 7, 8 and 8, 6 are not supposed to be bluffing full frequency, I think Adamo is bluffing these with a way higher frequency here. Also, if he was, raising something like 9-6 suited with backdoor flush draw, 10-6 suited, that he could potentially have. Yeah, but I think like the bluffing frequencies, I feel like they're not high enough. So I think 7 deuce here is just a mandatory call. It actually wants to bluff raise it sometimes, I think, perhaps to get him off his deuce 6. I mean, if we raise, whereas actually it's not folding. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but yeah, we probably never going to be bluff raising there anyway. So yeah, 7 deuce suited, we're calling. We also see that 7 deuce is so much better than 8 deuce because we block 6-7, we unblock 8-6. You really want to be unblocking those 8-7 and 8-6 combos. So 7 deuce, I think here, I'm pretty sure that this is a much better call than the ace 9 off. So I'm really happy about this call, also now in hindsight. And yeah, but you see that on these spots that even a deuce, if you play against someone that never bluffs, you can probably just fold. Like, he's gonna have the fold house, he's gonna have the 6-7 or 6 deuce pretty much always. And we also run into a pretty strong hand here, 6 deuce, nothing we can do. And yeah, we lost a big pot, unfortunately. And the final hand, he open raised the button, small blind calls, we call from the big blind. We flop the nuts. I don't think we should want to be doing a lot of leading. In a chippy V environment, we might have 6-4 off and also 7-5 off here, which I would fold here. So yeah, we have some 2 pairs, but I would still check my range. Turn is really good for our range. It's good, not so good for our hand. I'm not too concerned after small bet limps. I mean, if small bet goes for a check raise, it might get a little dicey because he's gonna have some like ace 10 off with, or some slow plays with his nut flushes. But then again, I think we still want to go ahead and bet. Don't want to make it too big. And Adamo goes ahead and raises. And we have around 20-25 big blinds. The hand to begin with, I think 25 big blinds. And this is a spot where I don't think we can fold anymore. We got it straight. He can have like a7, ace and diamonds. Just raising the turn here, getting it in ace, king, ace and diamonds. He can raise a 4. Ace 4, king 4. He's going to be raising queen 4 suited. Yeah, if he has a flush. I also think bet a strong flush, like ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, diamonds, bet the flop. Ace 5 diamonds, ace deuce diamonds, ace 7 diamonds. If it's not off suited, he's going to be betting the flop with king, queen, king, jack, king 10 diamonds. I think all these hands going to be betting the flop. He plays these very straightforward. Also, if he has like king 5 diamonds, king 7 diamonds, or like 10-5 diamonds in case he raised it. The only hands I'm really afraid of is like 10-9 diamonds, 9-8 diamonds, jack 9 diamonds, jack 8 diamonds, queen 8 diamonds, like really weak flush draws. But we talk about a few combinations. He can have ace king 1 diamond, ace queen 1 diamond, ace 7 1 diamond, ace 4. So yeah, I don't really see how we can ever get away from this, especially against someone like Michael Adamo. yeah, I think this is just a cooler. I jammed the turn. Unfortunately, he has the 9-8 in diamonds. I don't think there's anything else we can do. And that was the run. Third place for 180k. Once again, an insane run. And I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and gonna be doing more of these in the future as well. Let me know what kind of content you would like to see. And yeah, if you have any questions about these hands, I hope I was able to give you some insights about ICM, risk premium, blind versus blind. I think as a summary, blind versus blind, you really want to be aware of how wide ranges are, that you are also keeping in mind that on certain runouts, when your opponent is raising, showing aggression, and he can't really have any natural bluffs, you see that you need to be good as Adamo to find some very creative bluffs. Yeah, otherwise you just lose your money, a lot of money with bluff catchers. So I think blind versus blind, step away from GTO, try to keep it simple. What kind of value hands your opponent can have, what kind of bluffs, what makes sense. If there aren't really so many bluffs possible anymore, fold your hands. I think that's a very, very strong exploit. Also, as we've seen here on a lot of boards, when there are too low cards, don't do too much betting as the small blind. It's very easy for your opponent to call. You're going to be losing, especially when you have problems with your non-shot-on winnings. If you constantly stab on boards that are actually good for the big blind, when they're too low cards, and you think, oh, this board is so dry, he's not going to be connecting with this board. No, that's a leak, because he's going to have a lot of natural calls, a lot of very floatable hands, and then if you always bet your 9-8 or 10-7 on ace-4-5, then yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to make a lot of profit from the blind. So I hope you guys, you've enjoyed this video, you've learned something, and then see you guys next time.